Okay. So thank you for attending today's webinar. I will start from the slideshow mode. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the digital text transparency framework, especially for the SEP friend licensing royalty. So we are going to talk about in general what is meant by the standard essential pattern friend licensing royalty in the current status. And then with respect to the tax aspect, because the royalty payment is related to the it's global like a cross-border jurisdiction kind of the tax. So we have a guest speaker from Samsung Electronics, the expert in this matter, tax matters. So he will share, and then we developed the kind of like supporting this, the complex of this framework to using agentic AI that I have a specialties. So the first I will share that just what is the state of our SAPs. So I will talk about very briefly about the current status, and then I will share this presentation later. So ICP filing are sourcing, right? So and then licensing is a kind of like just not smartphone in traditional way, everything connected, and particularly IoT like a field is very complex. And recently there was a patent force and litigation is going on. So what will be in the year 2026 and beyond? So let me see. I'm not sure that whether I have or I think that I didn't kind because I didn't. Okay, so okay, so okay, because let's check that whether I'm correct in doing recording. Okay, so the issue is to the how you define the SCP. So SCP is means the standard essential pattern, means that it is essential to the standard, right? So what this mean is just explain that what is mean by the SCP. So all the kind of the pattern that they claim some right of some kind of innovation, right to standard are specified in the standard. So that means that if you want to develop implementing some feature following standard to be interoperable globally, then you need to follow these. You need to actually the in the IP terms infringe send any kind of some type of the standard as a pattern, right? So without infringing, you cannot implement standard compliant product. That's why they are very powerful tool. And then the issue is to whether it should be to be like a legitimate to be like you claim that you're the right of this pattern, so other people should license if they have an IP, and then they should be proved that they are truly essential, right? So you need to define what is essential and how you define essentiality, right? That's the one thing you need to think about it, right? But usually that there are a lot of the vendors and experts evaluating all different aspects of the SCP, like cellular, Wi-Fi, LTE, and codec. And then, for example, the 5G, there are 100,000 in the patent family huge amount, right? Cover all aspects of the standard and Wi-Fi and even the codec, right? And then recently there was a kind of like, for example, smartphone, right? Other kind of industrial thing like, for example, electric charge and other standard, for example, other kind of like, for example, you have like a smartphone wireless charging system was have a standard. So if they are a bit like interoperable or in the globally, they should follow standards. So there are like standard bodies to developing this one they call SDOs. So there are huge amount the standard rate patterns is now in globally, and so there is an issue is to which one actually that you claim that I'm developing I have some standardized pattern, but whether they're truly standardized or not, right? That's the issue. And then traditionally, only way you can prove it is through the once have an litigation, and the both sides now agree that you should go to court, and then it's through the very detailed legal analysis and send what is the definition, and then and kind of like a different layer of the verification required. Only few up to now actually verify as truly standardized pattern, right? Because otherwise only depend on some expert evaluation, right? And then each company's evaluation, something like that. So they are not very, very clear. So that's why that there is a gap. And then the the regulator, for example, that the entities like ETSI, ITU, and global standardization body like ITR, ITU, IEEE, something like that, like all the standard bodies as something not as a kind of oversight of the truly means what is the defining essentially. It's only the dimension. And also like if they are truly essential, they are made to license out like all the standard compliant product should follow this FRAND term, like a fair, reasonable, and non-discriminatory way to like a fair licensing policy should follow, right? But also like there is a very unclear about what is mean by the FRAND and how you determine is whether it's one or it's a FRAND licensing and how the reasonable amount of the licensing royalty based on FRAND, right? Because still is not even is we, for example, sell in the 2G, 3G, 5G, 4G, 5G, we have like a multiple decade of experience and not clearly settled down for these issues. So essentially in the 5G like now is currently 5G advanced and the 6G area that even that in the 6G that I have a talk just before this webinar in I3 meeting about like in 6G area the difficulty is AI native in the AI in all of the stack of the standard and it's very complicated way, right? So we need to think about this AI dominate area. So the licensing is one thing because for example that the most of the for example Samsung Electronics they pay a lot of money because of the they have a revenue of their stand like a smartphone sale is a huge amount. So they just like naturally they should cover the many different type of the standard, right? Not just cellular and other thing, right? So but mostly that still the smartphone is a major revenue stream generation, and also like they the most of the like rate standard licensing rate, the cash flow generate. So still, that for example, that the smartphone shipment is now is a billion unit in every year, right? And then so other like a smartphone implementing that the cellular, they have a Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and other kind of thing, right? So the royalty for smartphone continue to shape overall SEP portfolio economics, right? But because for even if this kind of like important smartphone now represent only one segment. Right? So, for example, industrial like enterprise, some kind of like a deco, like 5G or 6G modem, right? Because modem chips implemented as a module to this industrial application, they have a lot of the kind of like SPs embedded. And the automotive, right? A connected car. Yeah, most of the I think that the current the cars the connectivity through 5G, 4G kind of thing, right? And then in the future there will be like a vehicle to infrastructure, vehicle to vehicle communication is based on that. So it will be the another layer of the SCP is coming out, right? And also like healthcare, medtech, not much implemented yet, but there is an expectation of this high speed, low latency kind of thing can be implemented. Like for example, like extended reality, virtual reality type application is very important in healthcare. So the hospital will deploy this one. So this like a particle, one of the particle will be also like a good example that the SAP's late licensing royalty is can be issues coming out. And smartphone is another layer, another kind of like not just like a cellular, Wi-Fi, and other thing. And recently there was a new type of the smartphone they could matter another thing like a smartphone very standard. And also like so the connectivity is very, very important everywhere, right? So, new challenges is coming out. So, a new wave of the industry face SEP licensing for example, the cellular industry is up to like 2G and 6G, like the right like consumer electronics and the smartphone, other kind of thing. They already has experience. So, but newcomer, right, never experienced like whether SB is actually the key issue, right? But they just experience. They don't have any know-how. They have any experience unless they have hired their specialized professional to take care of that. Actually, they will have some surprise, right? So there will be something that kind of like some guideline is really that's why that I'm the project a bunch of the white paper to have them because I've been experienced in industry for 30 years. So I can expect what will happen, and I have from my experience 2G to 6G. So this is the new challenge. So and the IoT is another way because IoT is Internet of Thing is a kind of like a sensor based, very small like footprint, and then very like low power and then low cost product, but the multiple billion trillion products in that connected. So traditional economic model cannot be working in this area. So I will share this one later about detail. So so this will be another complication. So there will be some activities like a full type. So like integrate all the IP owners put in there, and then one of the consensus way to in the licensing royalty and licensing out, one platform. Another thing here is like a pattern for example, the one example is Avanti 4G is something that in the automotive area, for example, Avanti 4G is 65 licenses and then the more than 120 automotive ban. And then expectation is another industry area really needed this kind of thing, right? And also they're working the Avanti 5G, and then they are already working on that. So in the 5G, they also like some like extending their like SAP categories to other area, not just cellular. So, a codec is one of recently I found that there are many activities, especially for they call licensing based business model is like most of the revenue generation, right? The one example is Interregister, and then some they are not they are operating, but they also like a larger portion of the revenue generated for licensing is they call type of the Qualcomm and Nokia, Ericsson type of company, right? They are more now focused on this area because this area is more like a multimedia is important. The smartphone power, right? Because more power that they were utilizing is multimedia power, the video, audio codec. So, and recently for example, that through their activities, there are a lot of the activities going on that I can find out. And also like a new like a full can be immersed like in the energy like a broadcasting connectivities, and this is really the unlike a normal like industry vertical that usually that the SAP is what the key essential kind of like factors that they consider, but now it's moving to other area. So the implementer usually that they don't have any IP portfolio to protect the product, and then usually they just follow the standard they produce only for the standard compliant product, and they need to be the licenses. So they are more like for example the still most of the licensing they through the like a two party like a party to party, not full. So there will be one worry about loyalty stacking, right? Is the one party, the other party for the same standard, right? So there was a prepared there in the pool in one time, kind of one channel, kind of like licensing day one, and then so is a market is not regulated, it's a powering pool expansion now. And so patentful is will be the some of the norm in SEP now. And another layer that is a litigation is very intensive litigation is going on, and particularly is whether your patent is essential or not, and whether your licensing is a friend or not, will be not determined if there is any standard bodies or the global norm that provide this clarity. So the only they settle down in the court is German is one of the important jurisdiction in especially the injunction, right? Because there are two type of the utilizing you're enforcing your IPA is one is to remedy. So you have the economic like a return. So the economic return, economic kind of like a return to the parties influencing, and the other is injunction. So just to ban any like a market effort, like for example in the US ITO that ITC is they just ban the import or something like that. So German is one of the core injunction powers, and then usually is the German court is a pro kind of like a patent owner. So because there are a lot of the like a jury kind of like jurisdiction forum selection, and they just choose the German court as the like leverage their injunction power. And UPC is one new trend, and now there is a European Unified Court. So this is a lot of the European like IP litigations utilizing this one. And UK is one of the very like good indicator of the like for example friendly like license royalty setting authority. So there are very like history like litigation has happened that there was many different type of the like settlement about the friendly. And also like ITC that I mentioned that is one of the tools that the injunction, the ban of the import to the US market. And then recent trend in China is the China is one of the now the big power like the big like giant in telecom and consumer electronics, especially the Huawei is one of the giant, right? And other like Oppo and other Bible and other kind of like kind of company actually that in this area. And also like other kind of the India, Brazil, and Colombia, the another jurisdictions to looking at the forum shopping. So multi-jurisdiction campaigns are now known, right? So you can pick and choose like depending on the policy and then whether they're pro owners or what the judgment and other kind of thing that consider, and then litigation is over in the global jurisdiction now. Okay, so what it happened, right, is just a project SAP landscapes to that. So SAP will become core infrastructures across all industry, right? So you can see that they're extending more and more because more standard is activities going on different industry, and then more standard essential patterns will cover the specific industry kind of the standard. So here is the expectation more like extended way, and the litigation intensify, right? Because there is a more like unsettled way, like whether it is essential or not, and then other type of the friend or not. So there will be the more norm that there was a multinational type of the SPA litigation will be intensified. And then in the market power is the concentration on the few like owners, like the asymmetry in the patent owners only owned by the like less than 100 company, and mostly like a 10 power company, and then licenses is 1,000, right? It's licenses. So it will happen again, right? It's more, and because of for example in the 6G and the AI native, and then unless they have a that kind of like a supporting innovation power, right? They cannot do any kind of the participant standard expecting and rate developing SAP. So this will be the trend in the future. And then in the regulation intervention, for example, ETSI tried to regulate this whether there is a declared standards pattern, there's a mandatory screening, but or not. But I also like proposed in previous webinar, but I developed identity autonomous evaluation of whether there is a pattern or not. I tested it working very well. So I just proposed that agentic AI supporting to autonomous way to developing kind of like autonomous evaluation of whether their standard is a pattern or not. Also like they whether the what is a reasonable royalty rate for the friend license for specific standard. This is kind of thing that I developed. So that'll be the like the prove it and then verify it, and then once prove that it'll be good to implement in this ecosystem to make this kind of like friend license writing is more transparent. And also tax will be the we'll discuss later. Okay, so that's one I have it. Then I share the more detail about our white paper. And then our guest speaker, Jason, will be talk about our main topic, right? What is mean by the transparent digital tax framework, right? Jason, can you share your presentation and you can start?
Yes, my name is Jisun Lee and I work on AI and text technology. Today, I want to share something important. It's about friend loyalty taxation. We all know friend licensing, but do you know about the tax problems? Every year, $30 million flow through friend loyalties, but there's a big problem. The tax system is broken. So today I will show you how AI can fix this problem. Let me explain the loyalty tax first. Look at this example. Samsung pays Qualcomm $100 million. This is for 5G patent. Simple, right? But now comes the tax problem. First, there is a withholding tax. Samsung must hold back some money. In Korea, that's 50%. So they keep $50 million and they only send 85 million to Qualcomm. And second, there is income tax. Qualcomm receives 85 million, but they must pay US tax on this income. Now, this is where things get a bit more complex. There is a tax treaty between Korea and the US. This treaty says the rate should be 10%, not 15. So Samsung withheld too much. They need to claim 5 million back, and this takes months of paperwork. Sometimes they never get it back. And every friend's payments faces this problem, and it happens thousands of times annually. So this is just one payment between two companies. So imagine patent pools with 50 companies. Yes, the complexity exploded. Now let's look at the real numbers. The scale will surprise you. The global SEP loyalty the global SAP loyalty market is huge and it's 20 to 30 billion dollars every year. This involves over 2,000 licensors and more than 10,000 licensees. Look at Avanci, it's one patent pool, and when a car company pays Avanci, that money goes to 50 different companies. These companies are in 30 different countries, and each country has different tax laws. The processing burden is massive. One major license takes 500 to 100 hours of paperwork every year just for tax compliance. And tax audits take even longer. The average is 8 months. Some cases takes years to resolve. And what the cost of all this? We lost $1 to $2 billion in tax leakage every year, and so billions more are stuck in unclaimed credits. Here's the key point: we waste to 5 to 10% of loyalty value on tax problems. And that's not technology cost, it's just inefficiency. And this is money that should go innovation, instead it's lost in paperwork. So why take this now? Because two things are happening at once. First, the problems are getting worse. We have no unified standard, and every country use different rules, and so transfer pricing disputes are increasing, and billions sit in unclaimed tax credit. So companies are frustrated, and governments are losing money. And second, new policies demand change. Let me explain three key drivers. First, OECD BEPS 2.0 is here. Both Pillar 1 and Pillar 2 require digital reporting. Pillar 1 reallocates parts of multinational profit to the market where customers are, and Pillar 2 ensures the global minimum tax of 50%, no matter where a company operates. Both want real-time data, not paper forms. Next, the IRS has a digital transformation initiative. They want to instant verification of transaction and no more waiting months for audits. Lastly, the EU has new SEP transparency regulation coming. They demand transparency in licensing. These policies are already in motion and the governments are ready, but they need the technology. And so the FRAND ecosystem is perfect for this. It has standard contact and regular payments, known parties. It's the ideal place to start, and this is our moment. So technology exists, the policies are ready, we just need to connect them. Now, let me introduce our solution, the Agentic AI Digital Tax Transparency Framework. We called it AITTTF. AITTTF has three intelligent layers. Each layer solves a specific problem. The first is the verification layer. This is the foundation. It extracts data from contract, and it identifies which treaty apply and circulates the collect withholding rate. No more manual checking and no more human errors. The AI reads everything instantly. And second is the valuation layer. This ensures fairness. It validates transfer pricing. It checks if loyalty rates are reasonable, and it compares against market benchmarks. This stops disputes because everyone can see the value is fair. And the third is the transparency layer. This creates trust and it clear audit trail. Every transaction is recorded and every part can verify the data. It connects to OECD BEPS reporting and it feeds the IRS system directly. No more separate reports for each company and country. The key innovation is the Unified Loyalty Data Schema, URDS for short, and this is like a common language. Every system can read it and every country can understand it. Before we had manual reconciliation, it took months. Now we have machine verification. It takes seconds. So this isn't just faster, it's more accurate and more transparent and more fair. How does AI TTTF actually work? Through five specialized AI agents. Think of this agent as expert assistant. Each one has a specific job. First, the contract agent. It reads licensing agreements. It finds loyalty terms and payment schedules. No more lawyer spending weeks on documents. And second, the tax treaty agent. It knows every bilateral treaty. US, Korea, EU, China, all of them. It applies the right rule automatically. And third is the valuation agent. It checks if prices are fair and it compares against similar deals. And fourth is the audit agent. It keeps perfect records, like every payment, every tax, and every credit. And last, the fifth is the government agent. It controls who sees what. It ensures compliance with regulation and it manages all reporting requirements. These agents work together and they share information instantly. So what used to take 8 months now takes 9 days. Actually, for simple case, it can be done in hours, not months. And this is the power of AI, not replacing human, but doing the repetitive work. Let me show you a little example, the Avanci patent pool. Avanci has over 50 licensors and they license it to over 80 car brands and the money flows through dozens of countries. Here's the current problem. When BMW sells a car and it triggers a loyalty payment, but there is no connection between the car sale and the final tax payment. Each step is separate and like the car sale, the loyalty payment, pool distribution, and tax withholding. Our AIDTF solution changes this. We track everything at the VIN level. The car number is VIN, and when that BMW is sold, AITTF knows. It circulates the loyalty and applies the right treaty, and it allocates the tax automatically. The result, Avanci could save $150 million a year. That's just one patent pool. So now let's talk about implementation. We have four path plan. Path one is starting now. We are piloting with the IRS and major SEP holders are participating, Qualcomm, Nokia, and Ericsson. And path two comes next year. We will integrate with EU system and we will meet BEPS 2.0 requirements. And path three is year three. We will scale to OECD standard and this becomes the global norm for IP taxation. So, and path four is by 2030. We'll be ready for 60 and that market will be $50 million or more. Each path builds on the previous one and we start small and we prove it works, then we scale. So let me summarize the benefits. For corporation, we cut cost by 50% and tax refund that took 3 months now take 1 week. And for governments, we secure $1.4 billion in revenue and they get real-time verification of payments. And for innovation, we enable faster 6G deployment. We reduce legal dispute and we create a transparent ecosystem. Our vision is simple but powerful. I think every friend payment becomes a verified digital certificate, a certificate of fairness. No more opacity, no more disputes, no more wasted billions. It's bigger than just tax. It's about trust in innovation economy and it's about fairness becoming verifiable. The technology is ready and the policies are in place. Now we need adoption, and I'm happy to share this framework with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Yeah. Yeah, as Jason said, because this is really important, right? Because we just focus on SAP, but actually initially we look at the whole IP Particularly, now I am also my another focus area is the healthcare life science, and I have a lot of the webinar, great one, and then next month I'm going to talk about cross-border licensing in the pharma bio type of thing. They are also multiple billion dollar in licensing. So globally, the licensing kind of cash flow is I'm not sure that nobody actually the correctly counted maybe trillion. I'm not sure. Maybe in the whole industry, right? Because the licensing is so because of the this kind of digital economy is powered by IP. So all different type of the IP has IP ownership, and then they have a right to some other people utilizing then on return actually that they have a resume to cash flow through the licensing effort, right? But actually, until Jason actually contacted me, then I didn't recognize this issue because I never think about the tax. Yeah, taxes are one of the important. If you think about in the U.S., for example, it's a huge amount of tax you're liable for the kind of like all kind of thing, and that there is a duplicate of the payment or something like that. But the issue that I will raise, because before this webinar actually that I talk about to the global policy should be changing, and when we have a 60
Mhm.
area and the AI native nature and the more complexes, and then I'm interested in, and it's actually my 30s experience. I can catch good topic, and then I can provide a good framework to maybe the good solution for the some challenges issue, and particularly for the issues like IP licensing and SEP issues, friend licensing and royalties, and then transparent in tax kind of thing. And then the problem is based on my experience, right? Because when I was in South Korea, I was government officer. So whether I have a personally capable or not, I have a resume to have a power, right? 'Cause representing South Korea, right? So in the global policy, like the meetings, that I can say that we need this one, and then let's do consensus about it. Well, I'm not a politician now, and I'm not any kind of like that kind of power, right? In the that even the Samsung is one of the big company, right? It's one of the five Fortune 500 type company. Even with that, actually, they don't have a power to this. Right? So this is a multi-company issue, right? Multi-global issue. So I just looking for the who might be the good sponsor for this. I've talked with a lot of people, my personally, but
Yeah.
still, I didn't
Mhm.
get reach
Mhm.
whoever may be the good candidate. But actually, the personally, I talk with, for example, that the private entities like a licensing, like a professionals, global, the kind of community they call licensing executive professionals in global international. So I talk with the executive director and they show our white papers, and whether they're interested in to initiate this project as their kind of like association level. And then he told me that he will look at it, and then he didn't reply yet. And also I contact personally ETSI policy kind of in charge, and then show these white papers, and then try to get attention, no reply. And also like I contact like a WIPO, World Intellectual Property, kind of the organization, no reply. And I think that the IRS may be not interested in the personally, right? Because they will be charged, and they unless we have a kind of like a good candidate, and then think that from my experience, it'll be very tough to be. They can be included as they're part of that endeavor, even if I would try that, and also other entities. And even I contact the head of the CEO of the some companies we talk about today, and also like I contact Nokia, and like a senior executive, I contact the senior executives, Nokia, Intergestor, Qualcomm, and Ericsson. No reply. So, uh, I'm not sure because the reason that I'm doing it is because from my experience, for example, the one example that I'm whenever I try to something that because I don't have any power, right? I'm not just a person, right? I don't have like a global influence. So but I'm really I'm sure that really I can work any kind of challenging problem. I can solve it for from my 30 years experience working with a global readers and something like that. So I'm just thinking about what's the best way. And then one way
Yeah.
is keep talking. Uh, there is one thing that actually by some reason I started to shifted my focus area from high tech AI telecom to healthcare life science for 2 years, and then I did this kind of webinar 100 times. And then I produce book chapters, like a book publication, journal paper, and then invite the speaker, everything I did. And then every day I have a 2,000 email list to attend my webinar to talk about. And then I found that because they need a time because unless you have a power, right? Unless you have something to have a recognition as an influencer, right? So for example, like Sam Hartman in the OpenAI CEO talk about this, everybody get attention, right?
Mm.
So I know about the reality. But I'm going to talk because I know about the power of knowledge diffusion. Very good. One example is that recently somebody contacted me from Saudi Arabia about agentic AI application in healthcare. And then he asked about we are talking and we will participate as strategy advisor, the first AI native agentic AI healthcare platform in Saudi Arabia. And then I provided many strategy. We are talking and then initially I said, how you found me? Your material everywhere. Like you think of 100 webinar, 100 kind of the presentation thing, then book chapters, everything for 2 years, right? Finally, it reached Saudi Arabia. So it's a global community internet connected, right? So Jason and me, I found that this is really important topic, right? Because it is worthwhile to endeavor. So we'll keep going on. And this is the first
Right.
day. So I think today, for example, the only few attended. I just invite. I think that in my network about the 500, I invited only few attended today because of time. It's early morning in my time, but but I know that because I experienced already. So I don't have any surprise. But this is the first time. And then I think that this is really important, right? Because I will really endeavor like in the global IP licensing ecosystem, right? And then and provide transparency, and they will be not just to like a loyalty, right? Actually, the initial we discussed about how they contribute to innovation, global innovation. Actually, the reason everything that I'm doing is I'm really interested in the global innovation collaboration. So that's why that I just starting today this webinar, and then I'm going to share this today's recording everything with through my network. I have a currently have a 22,000 the follower in LinkedIn, so I will share them, and like whatever I'm going to talk with the other guys maybe someday, right? Maybe find out. Right. Well, I don't know because the Samsung because I'm going to attend the CES in 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 January, and then there will be
Yes, right.
The Samsung executive will be all there, right? Do you know that your company pay a lot royalty tax, right? And then
Yeah.
do you have any intention to in the company wise sponsor for this project or not? Anyway, because I'm going to
I don't
try my best.
know.
Okay,
Okay.
so thank you for
Me
attending
too.
to this
Yeah.
webinar. Do you have any kind of questions, Miss William? Right? Anything you want to share, comment, anything? I'm really thankful to you, right?
Thank you so much.
Okay, so no other question. Then I have another webinar today. So in noon, I says I have a free webinar today because the reason is because of this kind of topic. I cannot get enough kind of attention because I'm organized a lot of webinar. For example, very important topic, they're interested topic. I have, for example, one topic that I teach at Johns Hopkins recently about AI in healthcare. 2,000 people registered. Compare this. Right, this is just a few and then only few or 10, right? So I found it very hard to do. It's this kind of like a very important but not very difficult to get attention. So I just accumulate all the webinar in one day to get the more attention. But
Mm.
anyway, so thank you, Jason, and then Smith William to participate today. And then I'm going to share this presentation and then recording, and then also like collaboration about the how we go about this. Actually, this make is real, right? Because real global initiative, really important topic. Okay. Thank you, Jason and Smith and William, and then hope to see you in the future in my webinar or the Jason will talk more, right?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye bye.